Jamaica's real estate market is booming. Shiny new developments, beachfront villas, and luxury apartments are popping up everywhere. But behind the glossy brochures lie a tough question. Who can actually afford to buy these properties? While many locals are struggling with stagnant wages and rising living costs, the demand from foreigners and investors continue to push prices higher and higher. Should there be restrictions on foreign ownership? What role should the government play in ensuring housing is not just for the wealthy, but also accessible for everyday Jamaicans? Today, we're diving into the heart of the matter: affordability, accessibility, and the future of Jamaica's real estate market. Let's talk about it. Hey y'all, it's Jackie from Jet Setting with Jackie. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. This has been like a burning issue, and I know I've discussed it with some of you guys in my comments or in my emails. So I figure, why not sit down and just record a video about the current state of real estate in Jamaica. I really want to take a look at what the current state is and really who can actually afford real estate in Jamaica. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So we've all noticed that Jamaica's real estate is literally on fire right now. We're seeing multi-million-dollar homes, luxury high-rises, and gated communities are popping up literally everywhere, from Kingston to Ocho Rios to Montego Bay to St. Elizabeth, literally everywhere. But the question that we really should all be asking ourselves is, who can actually afford these homes? Are locals being priced out of their own communities? Is the government homes that are being promised enough to fulfill the needs that are out there? Should developers really be forced to list their home prices in Jamaican dollars? And then something else that really has me thinking a lot is, should Jamaica really allow foreigners to come in and just freely purchase properties the way that they have the availability and accessibility right now? Or should they possibly take the routes of other countries like Canada or New Zealand or Australia and put some sort of restrictions in place so that people that are coming into the country has a little bit less free will to just do what they want when it comes to real estate? So today we're going to break all of this down. So by the end of this video, we'll have a clearer picture of what Jamaica's real estate currently looks like. Is it heading in the right direction? And then what changes can we possibly make that, to me, is really needed? So let's go ahead and start by discussing what's actually happening right now. So in Kingston, it's not unusual to see townhomes that are listed for 45, 50, even 70 million Jamaican dollars. And that's the equivalent of hundreds of thousands in USD. In Montego Bay and in Ocho Rios, there are luxury beachfront condos, there are villas, there are gated communities that are literally being snatched up as soon as they're being built. They're being bought many times by foreign investors. Literally people that are coming from other countries to Jamaica to purchase. And then, of course, there's also members of the diaspora that also purchase these properties. Now, with those numbers in mind, let's compare that to the average Jamaican income to see if that logically makes any sense. According to recent reports, the average Jamaican worker earns less than 1.5 million Jamaican dollars per year. That means that the average home that is being built right now is 20 to 30 or even 40 times the average salary of a Jamaican. And that gap is constantly widening. Over the last 10 years, we've noticed that the cost of real estate is constantly increasing. When I came here in 2021 to look for properties, even just basic land with nothing on it, the cost of land by itself back then was ridiculous. And now it's even more difficult to, one, find land to purchase, and then two, for it to even be remotely affordable. That way you can purchase land and build. And I'm speaking as someone that moved to Jamaica with US income, and it was still a little difficult for me to find something that I found to be affordable. And I made really good money at that point in time. The housing prices are climbing faster than people's wages, faster than inflation, and the market tends to now be skewed towards higher end developments, like places that just don't seem to fit the norm of a regular Jamaican that's trying to live and make a life in Jamaica. So honestly, the question really becomes, is home ownership in Jamaica for the average Jamaican possible today? Or is it just slowly slipping out of reach for most people? So are locals being priced out of the market? I believe for most Jamaicans, especially young professionals that have a good job, buying a house almost feels impossible. We've all heard stories or seen online where people are talking about the fact that, they have a good job. They're a multi-income household, and they will go to a bank to try to get a mortgage, and they cannot afford to get a mortgage because the price of properties is entirely too high. So instead, that just leaves most people renting indefinitely. Or even worse, a lot of the times they're forced to move away from the city where most of the good jobs are, and now extend their commute or even move them away from opportunities altogether because they're not able to get to that opportunity easily, or it's not as accessible to them. As I mentioned before, in a lot of urban areas here, the majority of new builds that I see personally are typically gated communities or upscale apartments and condos that is literally dominating the market. And the majority of the times, these listings are in USD. So psychologically, that already gives you the idea that you're not, as a Jamaican, you're not their target market. It seems more to be targeted to either people that are in the diaspora or people that they're looking to bring into the country as foreign investors. So, of course, shocker or spoiler alert, a lot of Jamaicans know that the average Jamaican family is not the target for a lot of these developments. While the demand for real estate is very high, the level of accessibility to affordable real estate is very, very low. So in essence, to me, that leaves a lot of local Jamaicans feeling like they are being priced out of the real estate market. And it overall seems like a lot of wealthier buyers, because of course we have different levels of income across Jamaica, but a lot of the wealthier buyers are the ones that have the resources to afford these properties. And then of course people from abroad are the ones that are coming in and benefiting from these new prime developed real estate. And if you agree or don't agree with me, let me know in the comments. Do you believe Jamaicans are being priced out of the real estate market? What is your perspective on this? Is it an uphill battle for Jamaicans that are living here and working a regular Jamaican income. Is housing still affordable? So, what exactly is the government doing about making sure that housing is affordable for most Jamaicans? Well, they're not blind to the issues of affordable housing in Jamaica, and both sides have made promises, pretty big promises, about what they plan to do around affordable housing. The NHT has been tasked with building tens of thousands of low to middle income homes for Jamaicans. And yes, a lot of those projects are underway and are continuing. I don't think that that's necessarily where the issue lies. To me, the issue still lies in, are these units still affordable enough for people based on where the wages in Jamaica is? For example, if one of these affordable units costs anywhere from 12 to 15 or even 18 million Jamaican dollars, is that still affordable enough for a typical or an average Jamaican to afford the loan for that home? Because remember, I mentioned earlier, the average Jamaican makes about 1.5 million annually. And even if they are able to afford, say, one of these affordable homes, after they've paid their mortgage and electric and food and all their other bills, are they able to live comfortably, or are they just paying for somewhere to live? Another issue with the promises that the government tends to make sometimes is, are they actually delivering on those promises? I know I read an article about the current administration that they had promised about 70,000 affordable homes over a 5-year period. But with the rise in cost of everything and the demand for good affordable housing, these are things that, this is something that's necessary, that's needed. So while the steps are in the right direction, the reality is, are we keeping up with the pace of how many houses are built versus the cost of things versus our population growth and who needs a place to live? With the pending election next week, both sides are promising different things when it comes to housing and what they believe the solution is. The PNP is talking about completing 50,000 new affordable homes on public land. They've spoken about a rent-to-own format for home ownership. And then they also have been speaking about a $500,000 grant for homeowners that are under the age of 45. And of course, the JLP is looking to complete another 60,000 new affordable homes in an effort to keep the price of home ownership lower for the average Jamaican. So regardless of which side of the political spectrum you fall on, both have stated what their stance is on affordable homes. But I do think that there's more to this than just building affordable homes. There's a lot of different factors that we need to address. All right, so let's talk about the currency issue, because for me, this one definitely hits home. My question when I was looking for a property to purchase was definitely, why are all these Jamaican homes listed in USD? I'm in Jamaica. Well, developers will argue that the main reason why they list prices in USD is because, well, most of their buyers are from overseas, whether it's an investor or someone from the diaspora or people just looking to buy vacation homes. So when they're listing these prices in USD, it just makes it much more convenient for the people that are overseas to understand the cost. Well, the problem for me is, as a Jamaican, and most Jamaicans earn money in JMD. There are some of us who do earn USD, right? I get that. But if you are advertising to someone whose main source of income comes in Jamaican dollars, it does not make sense necessarily, or psychologically, it puts you in a mind frame that this doesn't even apply to me necessarily, because it's not even in Jamaican dollars. For Jamaicans who make their source of income in Jamaican dollars, if you're scrolling on a real estate site and all of the properties are listed in US dollars, you're seeing prices like 350,000 USD instead of, say, 54 million Jamaican dollars. Psychologically, that puts you in a mind frame like, well, dang, 350,000 US dollars, that sounds like a lot. And you automatically feel like that's not being marketed towards me. That's being marketed towards someone else. Even if the Jamaican dollar equivalent is something that you can potentially reach as, a buyer, just seeing those funds in US dollars when your bank account reflects Jamaican dollars kind of throws things off. One way of fixing this issue to me is to list it in both. I have seen listings where it is in USD and JMD, but there's also a lot of times when I've only seen the USD listing. So if we are going to be marketing and catering to both, then I think list it in both. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that the government should step in and say, hey, we should be listing in both, considering we are in Jamaica? So the least we can do is make sure that we are listing prices in Jamaican dollars, because not everyone has full access to USD. Or should we just allow developers to do what it is they want to do? If they want to list in USD, fine. If they want to list in both, that's fine too. What do you think? Let's tackle one of the more controversial questions in this whole video, and that is, should foreigners be allowed to continue to buy real estate in Jamaica restriction free? And my views on this is, well, one, foreigners do bring capital to Jamaica and they do invest in construction, and some of them do help in creating jobs. And then as far as the diaspora is concerned, a lot of them have strong ties to Jamaica, and they also have a vested interest in Jamaica progressing and also bringing their money back to help develop Jamaica. However, these are the same people that, when it comes to their buying power, it definitely far outweighs a regular average local Jamaican. So when someone that sold their property overseas can come to Jamaica and drop cash to buy a property, what that does is it creates a demand, which then increases the price, and that affects the regular Jamaicans that are struggling to buy or find something that is affordable. Now, this is not just unique to Jamaica. This happens in a lot of different places. However, there are countries that have taken steps to mitigate a lot of these issues. Like, for example, Canada currently has a temporary ban on foreign buyers. New Zealand blocks most foreigners from buying existing homes. In Australia, foreigners are restricted to buying new builds only. In Denmark, you have to be a resident in order to purchase real estate there. And in Switzerland, there are quotas to how much you can purchase as a foreigner. Across Asia, in countries like Indonesia, the Philippines, and Thailand, they've restricted foreigners from owning land directly. So my question is, should Jamaica consider doing something similar to this, even if it's a temporary restriction that we put in place? Let me know in the comments. Should Jamaica follow the lead of these other countries, or should they just continue to let it be a free-for-all? Let me know your thoughts. And finally, let's talk about what I think the future of the Jamaica housing market is going to look like. If nothing changes in Jamaica, what does the future of our real estate market look like? We could be moving towards a Jamaica where only the wealthy, whether they are foreigners, the diaspora, or just local Jamaicans that have the capital, will own homes or own properties, while the regular average Jamaican will just continue to be a renter. Overall, the only thing that would do is create this long-term wealth gap where the sense of exclusion from the communities that the very Jamaicans are helping build, they can't be a part of. I don't necessarily think that this has to be this way. There are ways, there are solutions to help curb some of this gap, some of this increase, some of this demand. There are ways to help solve this problem. Some of the things that could be considered is to make sure that there are policies that are in place that make sure that when we're creating these developments, that a portion of them are affordable for the typical Jamaican. We could impose taxes or some sort of restrictions on foreign buyers, and then use some of those resources to help improve local housing for the average Jamaican. And I mean, the obvious is to make sure that we are investing heavily in low and medium income housing. I know we do it, but I'm sure we are able to do more. And the final thing to this would be maybe create some sort of incentives for developers to want to prioritize Jamaican buyers over foreign buyers. I don't know exactly how that would work, but if they were given maybe some sort of breaks or something to incentivize them to make sure that they're taking care of our local buyers, I think that might help. As we are now on the brink of a major election, these are the things that we have to think about. Like, who is working to solve some of these issues that the local Jamaicans are facing? Who has our best interests at heart? Who's going to make those tough calls and those tough decisions when it comes to prioritizing local Jamaicans over foreign investors? Who's looking to make that a priority? So let's go ahead and wrap this video up. The Jamaican real estate market is definitely growing. We see so much development. I'm sure if I drive along the north coast from Runaway Bay to Ocherius, I would have passed a minimum of maybe 9 or 10 developments right now. Jamaica is booming when it comes to real estate. That is undeniable. But at the same time, we are in the process of leaving a lot of people behind. Locals are struggling. Government housing, even though they are making progress, is still not going fast enough. Pricing in USD definitely feels exclusionary, and the influence and impact from foreign buyers is continuously shaping the way that the market is growing, changing, and evolving. At the heart of all of this, I think what we really should be asking is, should the Jamaican real estate market serve Jamaicans first? Or should it remain open to whoever can pay the highest price? I want to hear from you in the comments. Whether you're living in Jamaica, whether you're part of the diaspora, or you're watching from abroad and you have some perspective on what we should do here in Jamaica, let me know your thoughts below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video or you enjoy content like this from me. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.